To launch an effective attack, hose lines must be quickly removed from the apparatus and advanced to the fire. Various obstacles may prevent you from just pulling the hose, charging the line, and applying water. In this program on advancing hose lines, you will see techniques for getting fire hose to where it is needed in many types of situations. The learning objectives are to show how to pull and carry hose from pre-connected lines to the fire location, to show how to pull and carry hose from non-pre-connected hose loads, such as the flat load and the horseshoe load, to demonstrate how to advance wide hose lines and the working line hose drag, to present basic safety procedures for advancing into structures and in stairways, to demonstrate how to advance hose line from a standpipe, to demonstrate how to advance hose up a ladder and how to hoist hose, to show how to extend a hose line and how to retrieve a loose hose line, and to show basic procedures for operating and controlling attack lines. The techniques for pulling and carrying hose from the pumper depend on how the hose is loaded. Let's look at how to advance pre-connected hose from the pumper to the location of the fire. Advancing a pre-connected flat load begins with putting your arm through the longer loop and grasping the shorter loop with the same hand. Grasp the nozzle with the opposite hand. Pull the load from the bed and walk toward the fire. Walk forwards, never backwards, when advancing hose. As the hose tightens in your hand, let go of the hand loop. Continue to lead in the hose. As the hose becomes tight, release the loop and drop it to the ground. Proceed until the hose is fully extended. To advance a Minuteman load, grasp the nozzle and bottom loops, if there are any, and pull the load about 1/3 to 1/2 of the way out of the hose bed. Turn away from the apparatus and put the hose load on your shoulder. Walk away from the apparatus, pulling the hose out of the bed by the bottom loop. Allow the load to feed from the top of your shoulder as you advance toward the fire. For hose that is not pre-connected, such as flat or horseshoe loads, you would first attach a nozzle, if a nozzle is desired. Stand at the tailboard facing the direction of travel and have another firefighter put the initial fold of hose over your shoulder. The hose is placed from behind, over your shoulder, so that the rear folds are at the back of your knee. Fold the hose in front at knee level and continue to make folds until a length of hose that you can comfortably carry is over your shoulder. Now move forward about 15 feet or 4.5 meters and wait while another firefighter receives a length of hose in the same way. Good. Repeat this process until the desired length of hose is loaded onto the firefighters. At this point, the hose is uncoupled from the hose bed and the coupling is connected to the discharge outlet. If the hose is to be connected to a pumper at a different location, the last firefighter carries the coupling as the line is advanced to the designated location. Now we'll demonstrate methods for pulling and carrying hose from a reverse horseshoe or other line with a gated Y. First, grasp the nozzle and small loop of one bundle and pull the bundle from the bed. Lay the bundle on the ground. Pull the opposite bundle in the same way. Pull the Y and the attached hose from the bed and lay the Y between the bundles. When you are ready for the reverse lay to the hydrant, pick up the Y and signal the driver. Anchor the hose as it lays out from the pumper.
Drive.
When the lay is complete, connect the hose to the Y and put one arm through the loops of one bundle. Lay off the loops one at a time. Lay out the second hose in the same way. Open one or both sides of the Y when given the order. The working line drag is one of the quickest and easiest ways to move fire hoses at ground level. You stand by a single hose line and put the hose with the nozzle over your shoulder, resting on your chest. Hold the coupling in place and pull with your shoulder as you walk toward the fire.
Advance.
A firefighter will be needed at each coupling to carry that section of hose. About 1/3 of the section will be on the ground between firefighters. As you advance hose lines into any structure, it's critical to be alert for signs of flashover, backdraft, and structural collapse. Always follow general safety guidelines. The firefighter on the nozzle and the backup firefighter should be on the same side of the line. Check for heat buildup behind the door with the back of your hand or with a thermal sensing device. Bleed air from the line before entry to the fire area. If using an adjustable nozzle, make sure the nozzle is set to the appropriate stream. Quickly check all your PPE. Check your partner's equipment and have your partner check your equipment. Make sure all members of the team are ready. When given the command to advance, never stand in front of the door as it's open. Stay low and avoid blocking ventilation openings. Advancing hose up a stairway is difficult because of the weight of PPE, hose, and tools, and because of obstructions you'll encounter. Whenever possible, advance uncharged hose or clamp off a charged hose. The shoulder carry and the underarm carry are used in stairways because the hose is carried into position and is fed out as it is needed. The Minuteman carry can also be used. When advancing the hose, lay it on the stairs against the outside wall to avoid sharp bends and kinks. Flake excess hose up the stairs so that it's easier to advance when needed. Advancing hose down stairways is difficult because it will get very hot as you near the fire floor. It is usually best to advance a charged hose because of the intense heat. Descend stairs feet first to maintain your balance. Move carefully, but as quickly as possible to get past the areas with the highest heat. You need to have all available hose when you reach the fire floor because the advance must be made quickly. Position firefighters at corners and obstructions to help feed the hose and keep it on the outside of the stairway. Firefighters often advance hose from a standpipe when fighting a fire in high-rise or large commercial buildings. Use hose from the apparatus that has been rolled or folded for standpipe use. Carry it upstairs on your shoulder or in hose packs that have nozzles, fittings, and tools. Stop one floor below the fire floor to make the standpipe connection. Normally, the standpipe will be in a stairway or just outside of the stairwell door. Detach the building hose line or outlet cap and check to see if you need adapters. Visually inspect the discharge for foreign objects and flush the system to remove debris before you connect your hose line. Attach the proper adapter or appliance. If the hose diameter is 2 inches or 50 millimeters or smaller, it is smart to put a gated Y either on the standpipe or at the end of a short piece of 2.5 inch or 65 millimeter hose. Once you've made the connection, flake any extra hose up the stairs toward the floor above the fire. To advance hose up a ladder, it is best to have an uncharged line. Drape the nozzle or end coupling over your shoulder. Go up the ladder until you reach the first fly section. Now a second firefighter drapes a large loop over his shoulder and starts up the ladder. A third firefighter would be needed if you had a 3-section ladder. To avoid overloading the ladder, have only one person on each section at a time. A firefighter at the base of the ladder can help feed hose to the others, and another firefighter can heel the ladder during the advancement. Charge the hose once it reaches the place where it will be used. Hoisting hose is probably the optimum way to get hose lines to upper levels. It is easier and safer to hoist a dry hose line, but charged hose lines may also be hoisted.
Rope!
Lower a rope from the place where the hose will be used. To protect the nozzle and couplings, fold the nozzle and the end of the hose back about 4 to 5 feet or 1.2 to 1.5 meters before hoisting. Tie a clove hitch with a safety knot around the tip of the nozzle and the hose to lash them together. Put a half hitch on the doubled hose about a foot or 300 millimeters from the loop end.
Hoist!
If using a hose roller, you want the hose to go over the hose roller with the nozzle on top. Sometimes it is necessary to extend a section of hose to meet the attack objective. Hose can be extended at the discharge port, at a coupling connection, or at the nozzle, depending on the situation. If the situation permits, it is easier to extend the hose at the nozzle end. To do this, bring the additional hose section to the nozzle end of the hose line and flake or roll it out.
Shut down.
Shut off the water supply going to the nozzle and remove the nozzle. Add the new section of hose and stretch it out. Reattach the nozzle to the end of the hose line and you're ready to resume the flow of water. A loose hose line is one where the line is not under control by firefighters. It is dangerous because it may whip around and can injure or kill. The safest way to control a loose line is to shut off the flow of water. Another way is to put a hose clamp at a point in the hose line where it is not whipping around. A third way is to kink the hose at a point away from the break until the water can be shut off. When you kink a hose, apply your full body weight to the bends in the hose. There are many methods for operating and controlling attack hose lines. One force that firefighters must anticipate, particularly when operating nozzles under high pressure, is nozzle reaction. Nozzle reaction is the force that pushes against the flow of water at the nozzle. The firefighter at the nozzle must control that backward thrust to aim the stream at the target. The firefighter at the nozzle holds the nozzle with one hand and the hose with the other hand just behind the nozzle. The hose line should be straight for at least 10 feet or 3 meters behind the nozzle. Permit the hose to cradle against your leg and brace it against the front of your body. Anchor the hose to the ground by putting your foot on it. If you have to move or direct the stream at a different angle from the center line, close the nozzle, adjust to the new angle, and then resume operation. Two firefighters handling an attack hose line are best because it provides a greater degree of safety. The person at the nozzle holds the nozzle with one hand and the hose with the other. The hose line is tucked under the arm.
Right turn. Right turn.
The backup firefighter takes the position on the same side of the hose, about 3 feet or 1 meter behind. The second firefighter holds the hose with both hands and holds it under his arm or across his waist. An important function of the backup person is to keep the hose straight. For extended operations, you may want to use a hose strap. Large attack lines require at least 2 firefighters to safely maintain control.
Dave, I'm out!
But you may need to operate alone until help arrives. Pull some slack hose from the line and make a large loop, crossing the loop about 2 feet or less than a meter behind the nozzle. Sit down on the hose where it crosses and direct the stream. You cannot change the direction very much, but this will work until help arrives. When 2 firefighters are handling a nozzle on a large hose, you must anchor the hose against nozzle reaction. One firefighter holds the nozzle with one hand and the hose with the other and tucks the hose line under his arm. The person behind acts as an anchor by putting a knee on the hose line. In this position, the backup should be kneeling on one knee with both hands on the hose line near the other knee. Another 2 firefighter method uses a hose rope tool to anchor the hose. The firefighter in the nozzle position loops a hose rope around the hose near the nozzle and puts the large loop across his back. He holds the nozzle with one hand and the hose with the other hand, resting the hose line against his body. The backup firefighter serves as an anchor about 3 feet or 1 meter behind. The backup also has a hose rope tool around the hose and the shoulder. The firefighter leans forward to absorb some of the nozzle reaction. Handling a hose with 3 firefighters is the best method. The nozzle man position is the same as for a 2 firefighter method. The second firefighter can stand behind the firefighter in the nozzle position, and the third firefighter can be kneeling. Or the second and third firefighters can kneel on opposite sides of the hose to anchor it. One final method is for all 3 firefighters to use hose straps and remain standing.
Right step, ready? Ready. Step.
This provides the most mobility. In this program on advancing hose lines, you've seen many methods for moving and setting up hose lines for fire attack. We have shown how to pull and carry hose from pre-connected lines, pulls and carries for non-pre-connected lines, how to pull and advance wide hose lines, and how to perform a working line drag, basic safety procedures for advancing into structures and in stairways, advancing hose from a standpipe, advancing hose up a ladder and by hoisting, extending hose line and retrieving loose hose, and basic procedures for operating and controlling attack lines. The ability to get hose off of the apparatus into the fire quickly is a critical skill for all firefighters. Knowing how to handle hose lines in both routine and emergency situations is equally critical. Learning and practicing these skills will pay off when the big call comes in, and everyone is expected to know what to do and how to do it right.